Welcome back to the new season. In this season, as you already know, we're reviewing writing, the task 1 of the IELTS General. You ready? Let's go.
Hi guys, today we're going to take a look at a sample writing task 1. Let's begin by reviewing the question. The question says, you recently started working in a new company. Write a letter to an English-speaking friend. In your letter, explain why you changed jobs, describe your new job, and tell him or her your other news. Let's get down to it. All right, so Elijah, I can see that the student has started the letter just by mentioning the recipient's name. So you want to go ahead and use something like hi Elijah or dear Elijah. So something that signals that this is a letter. And then you're not supposed to end it in an exclamation mark. We want to go with a comma or a colon, depending on where you're coming from instead. So it's been a while since we met on last Christmas. So when you have an adverb like last Christmas, there's no need to use a preposition. So it's been a while since we met last Christmas. I hope you and your mom are doing well. I'm writing this email to tell you that I got a new job in an InDesign company, which turned me into a new version of myself. Okay, so it's a pretty decent sentence. The only thing is turn me. Okay, so when you're using a relative clause, you have which, you're supposed to follow it with a finite verb. So your verb needs to have tense. It either needs to be turned me, or in this case, has turned me there into a new version of myself. Okay, so I decided to leave the supervisor position at Tim Hortons after 3 years working there. I love that job. However, I was exhausted with the huge load of work and the repetition of duties. Sounds harsh. Okay, now, if you look at this sentence, the one I've highlighted, we have two separate clauses. The first one is, I love that job. And the second one is, I was exhausted with the huge load of work and the repetition of duties. Now, we're linking these two sentences together using however. And however is, pardon my tendency to use jargon, but it is an adverbial conjunction. And so whenever you're using words like that, you can't just use a comma before and a comma after, because technically your sentence is coming to an end and a new sentence is starting. So you need to use either a period or a semicolon to define the border between your two clauses. In this case, because these two sentences are closely related, I'm going to use a semicolon instead. So, however, comma, I was exhausted with the huge load of work and the repetition of duties. And then we have, so I applied to some design companies and finally got an opportunity to work in a new environment. Okay, now we have so, which is another kind of conjunction. It's called a coordinating conjunction. You might be familiar with those. And if you're writing, in spoken English, it's fine to start a sentence with and, but, or so. But if you're writing, it's generally, you're generally advised not to start a sentence with and, but, so. And so what we're going to do here is we either need to place a comma before so, or you could end the sentence and then use an adverbial linker like therefore. So therefore, I applied to some design companies, and finally, I got an opportunity to work in a new environment. I already been working here about 2 months, and people is friendly, plus they support me a lot in order to catch up all the work. Okay, few things to unpack here. First of all, I already been working here. Now, think about it. Been, can that be a main verb? I don't think so, because it's not finite. So what are we going to do? If it's present perfect, you have to use the helping verb have. So I have already been working here about 2 months. Now, about 2 months is the duration, right? So you need a preposition like for. I've already been working here for about 2 months, and people is. So people is your subject, and it's a plural subject, so the verb has to match. So people are very friendly plus. Okay, once again we have the issue of the famous comma splice. So you're not supposed to have a comma before, comma after. Let's go with semicolon in this case, before, and a comma after. So plus, they support me a lot in order to catch up all the work. Now I'm not really sure what this student means by in order to catch up all the work. They support me a lot in order to catch up all the work. Maybe the student means that they support they support them a lot, whoever this writer is, and they help them to catch up with all the work. Maybe, but in order to sounds a little off here. So they support me a lot. We could say for catching up with all the work, or they support me a lot in catching up with all the work. I'm going to go with this one. Sounds right to me. So in catching up with all the work. Okay, so next paragraph. Besides that, I want to inform you that I have recently moved to the new place. Okay, now think about it. Does the person who's reading this letter know which new place we're talking about? No, we just mentioned it for the first time. So what are we going to do? We are going to get rid of the definite article, and we're going to use a new place instead. Let's read it one more time. Besides that, I want to inform you that I have recently moved to. Now, we also have another issue, which is the preposition that we've been using. So think about it. We have to a new place, while the right preposition is into. I've recently moved into a new place, which gives me more privacy, and I think you will love it. Now, the verb love, right? You love something. You don't need a helping verb like be. So you're just going to say, I think you will love it. No need to make it passive. Because of that, I'd like to invite you and your mom to come and visit my new house sometimes next week. Okay? Because of that, I'd like to invite you and your mom to come and visit my new house sometime, right? Sometimes is an adverb of frequency, like I sometimes do something, right? He sometimes feeds his cat, or I don't know, whatever. So you see, there's a difference between let's meet sometime and I sometimes meet up with my friends. And so in this case, it's sometime, right? Okay, so sometime next week. All right, so we have this all done. We've crossed the T's and dotted the I's. Let's take a look at the closing. So please let me know when we can meet. Loves. No need for an S. It's just love and Jesse. Okay, now my evaluation of this piece of writing is that they have addressed all of the bullets. So in terms of task achievement, it's fairly acceptable. The ideas are developed well enough. Explain the change of jobs, describe the new job, tell him or her about other news. It's all good. And in terms of coherence and cohesion, we have coherent paragraphs. Each paragraph is focused on one particular aim. There are fairly smooth transitions, but the problem is that the student isn't really familiar with the range of linkers and the different kinds of linkers and how they ought to be used. So coherence-wise, it's not bad, but cohesion, when cohesion comes into play, we have a few issues to resolve. Moving on to grammatical range and accuracy. Now, I pointed out a few grammatical mistakes with tenses, with articles, with verbs missing helping verbs, and the like. And these are causing a little bit of confusion. Like in one particular point, I wasn't really sure what was being said, and this is really gonna hurt the score. And so this is an area that needs improvement for sure. And then finally, in terms of lexical range and accuracy, the vocab, I believe the words have been used fairly appropriately. So we do have words like repetition of duties, I was exhausted, right? So these are, I mean, they're not something completely extraordinary, but they get the job done, right? So in terms of vocab, I don't think there's need for this student to really improve on the range of vocab, but just make sure that they should just make sure that they're using the words accurately, so that, for example, when you have love, you got to know that the verb doesn't need to be in the passive, right? Which seems on the surface to be a grammatical issue, but in fact it's a lexical issue because the student didn't know how to use that verb in the right place. But not too many mistakes as far as vocabulary is concerned. Now, putting all of these criteria together, I feel that this piece of writing would probably get a score of 5.5 or perhaps 6, depending on the circumstances. And that's because some of the mistakes are impeding my ability to understand and grasp the main message. But at the end of the day, it all depends on how you perform on the day of the test. So I hope that you find this feedback useful. Good luck with your exam and happy learning, guys.
Welcome to the end of this video. If you want more episodes like this, click here. And if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, click right here.